company is actually called Clouded Mentalities here. It's a mental health company, and I own this company, and I have about 50 interns locally at Wake Tech, UNC, and North Carolina Central University. So those universities are the universities I teach at, and I offer my services to. Okay? We're going to talk about why the mind matters in the workplace today, communication in the workplace, and once I said my interns have put this great presentation together for you guys. I have 5 anthropologist researchers who work at UNC Chapel Hill. They're sophomores, juniors, and seniors. We have some people who work at Wake Tech, some students who put together this presentation, and at North Carolina Central as well. So they all had a great hand in putting this together. And it's the students that matter. You guys will see why this matters that the students put this together, because it's about their mental health and the people who work at these universities helping them, right? So if we help each other, we'll be able to basically bring more positiveness to the workplace, into the workplace culture, okay? So my name is Tavarius Felton. I'm a professor at Wake Tech, North Carolina Central, and UNC Chapel Hill. So at Clouded Mentalities, we want to make sure your mental health is a priority. So that's what today we're going to be presenting to you, why you should prioritize your mental health and how that goes into communication. Alrighty, so the importance of mental health. There's a lot of important things about mental health, right? But mainly we want to focus on mental clarity, okay? So if you see someone that's kind of not being clear in class or in the workplace, maybe they're having something going on that you don't know about, right? And that goes into mental health. We also have physical appearance. Sometimes your students have their head down, right? Sometimes they look sleepy. Sometimes your coworkers look sleepy, right? So we don't know what's going on. We have to be empathetic to their life. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, okay? So that's why it's important to know that it affects your mental health physically. Also emotions. Think about emotions. Emotions are prevalent every day, everywhere, right? It's hard to turn off your emotions. So sometimes if your mental health is not in the right space, your emotions could be a little bit quicker, all right? A little bit more snappier. Then we have mental health is important in all stages of life. So childhood, adolescence, adulthood, all right? That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen in any aspect, but it happens in all aspects, right? A lot of times we don't really put enough respect on childhood mental health, okay? Childhood mental health is very, very important, okay? And then lastly, specifically students with stable mental health are more likely to engage in active listening. Active listening is actually how you retain knowledge, right? So if you're not actively listening right now, you would have missed everything I said, right? Everybody would not know anything I just said today, okay? So that's why mental health is important, because if you don't active listening, how are you gonna make good grades, right? How are you gonna do great in your job if you don't be an active listener? And we have supportive and caring connections. So if you're in this room, you are a connection, right? We all work for Wake Tech or deal with Wake Tech in some type of manner. So you are a connection to these students and to the coworkers around you. So you are a big, vital role to the mental health of everybody here. And lastly, a positive school culture. Everybody should want a great culture around where they're at because it supports the mental health of everybody here, okay? Those are some of the things we'll talk about today. So when you see this picture, what are some things that you guys think about? This is when you guys get involved here. What do you guys think about when you see this picture? You see somebody doing their work like this, what are you thinking?
They look closed off.
Closed off, okay. What else? What did you notice? What did you say?
Stressed.
Stressed, right? And what is this? What is the key word for this? What is this called? It's called body what? Body language, right? We all learn about body language, and that's one of the biggest things about communication. All right, a lot of times it's not your voice, it's how you look, right? So if somebody's slouched down or they're just feeling a little bit not energetic, they're gonna show it. They're gonna show it. And it's important for us to notice that. If you don't notice that, then you've already missed the first sign that somebody is dealing with something, okay? So imagine if your husband or your wife come in the house and like, you're like, what's going on, right? You're gonna be like, hey, is everything okay? Well, why don't we do that to the people we work with, right? Why don't we say, instead of saying, hey, how you doing? Fine. They're not fine. That's just the obvious answer we all give, right? But if you look at their body language, you'll be able to know someone's not fine. You'll be able to know somebody's not good. And that doesn't mean you have to say, hey, are you sure you're fine? You can just say, hey, what did you do this weekend? That's a simple way to understand how they're feeling, right? Because maybe they didn't have a good weekend, right? Sometimes we don't have a good weekend, and then you can ask them, and then they can say, you know what? This weekend I actually didn't have a good weekend. I was kind of feeling kind of stressed. You're like, you want to go out for lunch? Do you want to go for a walk? right? If it's a student, you would say, do you want to talk about it? All of these things are things we can do when you see body language, okay? So mental health in students. So there are some big effects that it has on students, and we talked about some of those already. One is energy levels, okay? Your energy levels are dramatically affected if your mental health is not positive, okay? Concentration. How are you going to concentrate if things are going on in your mind, right? It's going to be very, very hard. Dependability. You can't depend on anybody that's going through something in the present. It's going to be very hard. Mental ability and optimism. We all want to be optimists, okay? That's the goal in life when you're trying to give some positive energy. You got to have an optimistic lifestyle, optimistic mindset, okay? A positive mental health promotes everyone to live their life to the fullest. The reason why I said everyone is because sometimes if we just focus on students, who's teaching the students? Professors, right? Who's dealing with them? Counselors, staff members, people you see. So if my mental health is suffering, my class mental health is suffering, right? So it's a transformation of energy, okay? So if I come in here and I'm feeling negative and I just put that on all of you guys, you're gonna leave with some negative energy, or you're gonna talk mess about me, right? You're like, that man suck. Don't go in his class, and that's what happens. If our energy is messed up, it transforms to other people, and that's what leads to a cycle of bad work culture. Okay, that's how it starts. All right, so how are you feeling? All right, we talked about this earlier. A lot of times, look at him. He's like, I don't know, right? He doesn't know how he's feeling, okay? And this is the professor right here on the side with the blue shirt, and then there's the resource lady. So a lot of times we don't have these type of resources or people who actually care. We have what you call, hey, here's your homework, see you tomorrow, right? And if that is not good, they get an F, they get a D, they get a C. But we don't ask them, how did that D make them feel? How did it make you feel to make that C? How does it make you feel to have an A, right? We don't ask those questions. We just give them a grade and send them home, and they get a degree and they just go on with their life. But I've had many students thank me because I've cared enough to ask them how they felt, right? So every Sunday I give them a survey, emotional intelligence survey. I do this in all of my classes. And I say, how was your week? Was it better than last week? Was it worse than last week? What was some good news you had? What was some bad news you had? And at the end, I say, is this survey helpful? Everybody usually says, we don't get asked these questions. Nobody asks us how our week is going. Nobody cares if we're doing great. They just care if we're doing our work, right? And that sounds very robot, right? It's like you're just here to do work every day and nobody cares. Nobody asks you these questions, and we don't know who they have at home. They have nobody, right? They have no friends. We're gonna play a game later where you guys see how different lifestyles can come together to make something very positive or something very negative, okay? A lot of times we think that since the work is getting done, that means we're positive. But you guys are very smart people in here. We know just because the work's getting done, we could be stressed, right? We could just be producing work and we're just stressed out, okay? So it matters for us to stop and think about how people are doing around us, okay? All right, so our research study. Our research study was conducted by some of those interns that I have at UNC Chapel Hill. They did an awesome job putting this together. The age range was from 10 to 24, and the countries we studied was the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Canada, China, and Finland. There's a reason why we did all of those countries, and the dates were from 2010 to 2021. And we studied the trends, the consistency, and the progress in the decline of suicide rates. Suicide rates are going rampant right now. I don't know if you guys have heard. They're really, 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 really bad. So my company now is focusing on suicide prevention. All right, that is our #1 goal, to prevent suicide. And the way we do that is focusing on those age range from 10 to 24 in those countries there. And we do it for a decade because most research supports quantitative and qualitative over 10 years. You gotta have a big, big study in order to realize what's going on, because just 1 year isn't enough, okay? Alrighty, so we're gonna start with the United States. The United States, did you guys know that it rose 52.2% from 2000 to 2021? That is incredible. That is really, 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 really incredible right there. That is not good. And who Native Americans were impacted the most. That doesn't mean other groups were not impacted. That just means they were impacted the most. Why? We believe that these devices here are some of the problems, right? Social media, COVID-19. Who was affected by COVID-19? Everybody in this room, right? Everybody was affected by that. Limited access to resources, mental health stigmas, all that stuff is somebody's reason. Somebody in here can tell you that one of those reasons are their reason why they suffer from mental health. And these children and these young adults who committed suicide, unfortunately, did it because of these reasons, okay? It is the second leading cause of death today, the second leading cause of death. Let that sink in for young people who haven't even experienced the world are being taken out by taking themselves out because of mental health. That is extremely sad, extremely sad. In Canada's dealing with the same type of things. In 2013 to 2018, suicides rose tremendously. Males aged 10 to 19 years old were 3 more times likely to commit suicide. LGBTQ, 42% did not even disclose their orientation. That means they didn't even feel comfortable telling people what type of sexual orientation they were, right? So that may be saying, hey, this is a part of our mental health issues. This is the part we don't feel comfortable, okay? We don't feel comfortable at work, at school, at home. There's no place that we can tell anybody anything. And then we have transgender youths were 5 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts. That means every single day, one of those people are having those type of thoughts. You're walking around with those same type of people every single day, right? So how are they gonna get an A? How are they gonna get a B? How are they even gonna go to class every day if you can't even get past your own thought process, right? And then lastly, traumatic family history and resources are some of the reasons why. So they're noticing that at an early age, people are starting to have this trauma from 0 to 5 years old. And the reason why is because you can't really decide your environment from 0 to 5 years old. So the environment around you dictates how you think. So if your parents are struggling mentally, what's gonna happen? The kids are gonna struggle mentally. So they grow up with that same foundation of struggle that their parents had, which creates a cycle of people in traumatic situations. Okay, so how are they gonna unlearn that? That's where we come into it, right? That's when you meet mentors, that's when you meet professors, but if we're just giving grades out, we're doing the exact same problem, right? We're not helping them either. Nobody's helping these people, right? UK. So in the UK, specifically London, right? 7 out of 10 women report experiencing mental health problems. Now, if you look around this room, how many women do you see? What does that tell you? It's a lot of women in the world, right? But that also tells you a lot of men don't focus on their mental health because they're not even reporting it, right? They're not even reporting their issues. Women are just saying, hey, we're suffering. Men are just saying nothing. And they're just not saying anything, which is bad. They're silently suffering, okay? So more suicides were prevalent in European white groups in UK. When it was from 1992 to 2017, suicide were actually in a decline there. They were not actually doing that bad in that area. But once 2018 hit, what happened? Pandemic, right? The pandemic happened. So we're noticing a trend with all these countries. The pandemic suffered worldwide. It affected us worldwide, okay? And lastly, the results, only 13% of people reported to be living with high levels of positive mental health in the UK. 13. That is really, really, really bad. Really bad, right?
Are they all Swedish?
What'd he say?
Are they all Swedish?
I have no idea. I have no idea. Paris. We went specifically to Paris for France, okay? Mental health deteriorated significantly during the lockdown, okay? As we talked about that already. Women, the elderly, and children have been most impacted. What this is showing you, and it should be showing everybody here, is men are not reporting. They're just not excluded from this. You can't tell me they're not impacted. They're just not putting the information out there. All right, so that means we need more men to talk up, right? We need more men to come to these classes. We have 2 here and only 1 was in my other one, all right? So that's telling you men are just not stepping into that space, the stigmatization, what we talked about, right? There's something against mental health with men and not understanding that it's important for them, okay? Results, let's talk about it, therapy workshops. So France created this workshop where in the middle of their downtown, they would have people just stop randomly, people say, hey, how are you feeling? How are you doing? And that really started to help their community because people were able to engage with random strangers and they're like, wow, you actually care? You know, like nobody asked me that in a while, right? So they started doing these workshops and it really started to help them out. Then we have China here. China, rural males had the highest suicide rate. So the males are reporting there, okay? Among all subgroups between 2010 and 2021, mental health was greatly impacted, once again, by the pandemic. But lastly, they had something different. Why? They had social media in their one-child policy, which they just removed. They just removed that, okay? That was one of their biggest reasons why mental health was suffering there, okay? Now, what do these countries do to combat these crises? All right, we talked about the bad. Let's brighten your faces up. You look very sad right now, right? That's why I'm here, okay, to provide some solutions. So we have the USA. They incorporated mindfulness and meditation practices in the curriculum. So what that means is, me personally, I told you every Sunday I do those emotional intelligence surveys, right? So the United States are trying their best to incorporate this stuff into the classrooms. All right, we're also trying to practice more meditation, more mindfulness. That means making them be more present in thought, right? So if you're thinking about the past or the future, that creates anxiety, right? And anxiety is based off of fear, right? So that's why we're trying to really tell them, hey, be in the present, because when you're present, you can't fear anything, right? You're not fearing about tomorrow or the past if you're being present, and that's one of the biggest things I try to teach in my class. Canada and regions like Ontario started integrated proactive programs. They also started focusing on nature-based learning and counseling services. So who goes out in nature every day? How many people go out in nature? By a show of hands. 1, 2, couple people? If you don't go outside, you're basically looking at this nasty light all day. This does not do you any good because we have a beautiful sun, right? There's trees, there's water, there's animals, there's plants. There's no way if you go outside for a walk, you're gonna feel bad, right? So visiting a lake, a pond, a river, something like that, a park, and just going out with your dog or your friends, that is proven to make your mental health way, way better. Because as we know, during the pandemic, we were stuck inside. And what happened? We seen the statistics. We saw what happened when we were stuck inside, right? The UK is focusing, like I said, on children. They've noticed that children is the key to a better society for mental health. They're implementing these programs at a young age. They're getting these kids at a young age and not just teaching them 2 + 2, they're teaching them, hey, how are you doing today, right? How can we help you today? How's your mental health today? And asking them at 5 and 6 and 7 years old makes them grow up with that knowledge, right? Just think about if you grow up and you've never heard anything about therapy or resources or anything like that, and you get 20 years old, that's gonna really set you back because now you're really shocked. You're like, wait a second, I didn't know this was even a thing. I didn't even know people would ask these questions. Like my students tell me, I don't even get to ask these questions. So imagine if you start telling children this at 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, they're gonna grow up and teach their kids, and then their kids, and then their kids. And that's how you create evolution. That's how you create a different world, by starting with the youth. France is gravitating towards a holistic well-being model. So what that means is they're doing more yoga in their classes. They're doing more meditating in their classes. They're trying to bring those instructors into the room and actually teach them that. Because how many people have the time to go to the Y or go to these other places outside? When you bring it inside, you know that you're making an impact, right? A lot of times we leave it up to the individual to go find it when we can just bring those individuals here. Right? We could just make time in the classroom. It's okay not to learn math one day, right? Like, we're not gonna die if we're not learning math. But one thing that does cause death at alarming rates is mental health, right? So not learning math is okay for a day. Learning about yourself is actually better, okay? China. So they've really made an effort to implement some laws and to ensure that the classrooms have necessary resources like counselors and psychologists. That's once again bringing in the help instead of making them go outside. And Finland is actually one of the best countries there is with mental health. They're really excelling there. We're gonna watch a video why, but they're basically having relations consultants like myself, and they have happy researchers. They're called happy, literally it's a job called happy researcher. And they literally make considerably less in America for doing that job than they do there, and they're still happy. They're still happy, and that's because they're noticing the effects of what mental health has on you. It's actually proven if you have a guy making $100,000 and you give him $100,000 more, he's not any more happy. He's the same level of happiness. Nothing changed. But if you change his mental health, you can give somebody $60,000 and they can live great because they're happy with themselves and their mental health. Money does not change your mental health. It does not change. It's been proven over and over and over again when we see these celebrities committing suicide, having drug addictions, So that lets you know money didn't do anything. It probably made it worse. Probably just made it worse, right? All right, what can we do to increase better mental health, all right? What can we do, okay? So, for everybody in the room, what type of professions do we have in the room? Do we have any professors here? Any professors? Do we have any people who work in finance? Any finance? One person in finance? Do we have any student success people? Okay, counselors? Any counselors? All right, so what are the other people who didn't raise your hand? What are you guys in?
New student orientation.
New student orientation?
Adjunct faculty.
Adjunct faculty?
Marketing.
Marketing? Anybody else?
Instructional support.
Okay, so how can you guys make your mental health better? How can you in your area make your mental health better?
Not read my email.
Not read your email. Hey, 1 second. In the morning, I have a rule. For in the morning, I don't open my phone or read emails for the first hour. That has just really, really helped my life. Because what do you do when you read your emails or open your phone? Who knows? What are you doing?
Stressed out.
Stress out, but you're not giving yourself the first love of the day. How can you give a job your love and not give yourself love? Right? That's crazy when you think about it. It's like, wait, I just gave my intention and my love to my email and to other people before I asked myself how I was doing. I don't even know if I had a bad sleep at night, right? My back could be hurting. I didn't take a shower. I didn't brush my teeth. All I did was, oh my gosh. Right? You already stressed yourself out in 1 second and your day didn't even get started. You didn't even leave your house yet, right? So that's my rule that I have 1 hour when I start my day, no emails, no text. And that's really, really helped me and my mental health. Who else? Who else? What can you do to help your mental health in your profession?
It helps me to take a break and walk around campus. Just
Take a break. Yes, taking a walk. Taking a walk is very, very nice. Very nice, okay? Who likes to fall? Who's the fall fans?
I love fall.
All right, fall. Okay, there we go. We're already in the midst of it. The leaves are falling. Very pretty. Okay, so here's some of the things that we've decided that is really important. Okay, here's some of the things that we're trying to do. Critical importance of incorporating mental health resources within educational settings. So that means this PD conference. You're adding that to the PD conference now, right? So it's one thing to talk about it in classrooms and to your students, but if we don't educate you guys, then how are they going to get it, right? How are you going to help the students if we don't help you guys, okay? Inclusion of mental health professionals within school systems has led to a significant positive impact on student well-being. What that means is we've been proving it. We're proving it that this is helping. If you just bring these people into the classroom, people are like, wow, like, I feel better at here. I feel better at this job. I feel better at this job. So one thing about my company, Clouded Mentalities, nobody works over 10 hours a week. No one. If you do, I say, hey, quit, stop, go home, right?
Did you say a week? Wait.
A week, 10 hours a week. A week. A week. And we only offer part-time jobs. Only part-time jobs. You may be like, well, how do they make their salary? Well, their salary is happiness put in a part-time salary that we can give them. But also, you can work your full-time job too. We don't tell you to quit your full-time because we're all remote. It's all remote. All the work is done remotely. So imagine you working at a part-time job like Chick-fil-A or something like that. They're going to require you physically to go, and they might work you 20 hours, and I might be giving you the same pay. Right? So think about that. So that's what I implemented in my company, and you're doing mental health research for your job. So say that you're a researcher. You're researching mental health, which is going to help the world. Say you're an animator. You see these animations? This is someone's job in my company. That's all they do for 10 hours a week. Right? So this is positive work. So we're seeing that positive work can pay you and support your mental health, right? So that's one thing that we do. Mental health services are ideal for prevention, intervention, positive development, and effective communication with families. So that means if you have a great work life, you're probably gonna have a great home life, right? Some people get stressed at work and then bring it on home. It's not good. It's not gonna be pretty, right? Students are more likely to seek counseling when such services are readily available in schools, particularly benefiting underserved populations in areas like rural communities. That simply means not everybody has the same resources, right? Not everybody is in the same resource area, okay? So that means if you are one of the connections there, you could be the only resource. You could be the only one that care, all right? So that you matter. That's what that says, you matter, okay? These are those beautiful animations I was telling you about, all right? So we have a couple people to thank here. before we play our game. So my creative team, she graduated recently. She's running my creative department. She's been with me. She started as an intern, and now she's part of those 10 hours a week. She's always like, I want to work here full time. I'm like, no, absolutely not, no full time. Kelly Robinson made those illustrations for you guys. Olivia Jarman's a student of mine. She made this entire pitch. My research team, they studied UK, France, USA, Canada, China, Finland, implementations in mental health and education. All of those are either recent graduates or in school now who just want to do something that helps the world, right?
It was wonderful. And most importantly, Tavares is one of our adjuncts that were professor of communication, and I'm just so proud of him. What he's doing was very engaging, and it caught my attention, and I really enjoyed myself thoroughly.
And the time flew by. I could have added 10 more minutes
Yes.
to this presentation. It was interactive, got to know our coworkers in a different way. We saw some that had some acting skills more than others. So appreciate the time and the space to have this opportunity.
I had a great experience with this class today. I feel like I learned a lot about communication in the workplace and mental health.
It was great to get to hear other people's perspective around the world too, and we got to learn a little bit about mental health in other countries. I think that was cool because I had no idea.
Yes, I did learn a lot from this class.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely recommend bringing some of those elements into every part of student support.
Okay. He was very great in his communication and interacting with the class, so that's what I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was entertaining and fun. We had a good time.
2 thumbs up.